Yeah, it's Friday night, baby. Don't be thinking you're going to get some kind of fancy schmancy intro. No way, because it's casual Friday, in the Uncle Vigilante studio. We don't wear pants on what did I just say it was? Casual Fridays. Yes. Well, if you came here for money, Monero, you are in the right place. I hope. Because Nick is hailing from somewhere out of the country. I think it is Mexico. And I asked him if he was ready to get on. And he said, yeah, sure. When do you want to do it tonight? And so I'm like, shit. I did not send him the invite. So Uncle, odds, bad. But I just sent it to him in Telegram. He hasn't responded back. So he's probably hustling and bustling. But I was going to go live anyway. If I was going to go on my own, I was going to go live anyway. Let me say something in the chat because I have realized that I need to do that. I'll just say hi to open the chat up. I've never had to do that on any of my other ScrewTube channels, but this one I sure do. So, oh well, we're learning. So yeah, I was going to go on anyway, just fly solo with you guys on Friday nights, and was going to talk about some of the things that occurred in my life today. One is an update on my issue with this subscription service. Actually, I got a few things to talk about subscription services. And I have another one that I'm pretty excited about with a self-directed IRA. We uncovered, I think, the right place to go. We may talk about that. We may just stick to Monero. I'm stalling here a little bit, boys and girls, just because, today's topic is Monero, a private decentralized cryptocurrency. And you know what I always say? I don't know shit. So we're waiting for the pro to come on, to talk about what does privacy really mean? What does private and anonymous together mean? Is Bitcoin one? Is Bitcoin the other? Is Monero one? Is Monero the other? You asking me? Are you asking me? Come on. No, we're going to find out. I'm thinking that that privacy is when you have to go to the bathroom and you close the door and you kind of want your privacy. You don't care about anybody knowing what you're doing necessarily. It's just that you don't, you kind of don't want them really knowing what you're doing, I think. And then you'd go to private anonymity. What would that be? That would be where you just want to buy something somewhere and not have it tracked back to you. How's that? I don't know. I'm open to feedback. Steve Putland in the chat. Hey, man. Is it a bit sus that Jeff Berwick pushes Monero and his wife's maiden name is Monero? Absolutely, that's a rabbit hole I'm going down, because I really think when you take a look and you do the research like Uncle Odd has done, and you realize that he has 3 children, and his first child is named Mon, and his second one is Air, and his third one is O. That becomes a little bit suspect, don't you think, Steve? It's kind of what I'm thinking anyway. So I think he's absolutely a shill for the blockchain, the Monero blockchains. And I think he probably, when you research it and you figure out where the original chain was started, it was probably started around his neck and was just this big, beautiful gold chain that he wanted to do something with. And I think he wears it now on his walks. except he has it coded in such a way that it's private and anonymous. So you don't really know that he's wearing that big, beautiful gold chain, Steve. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if this makes for shitty video or not, but we're waiting for my friend Nick. He just said thanks. But yeah, want me to share with you something that pissed me off? I'll do that. Let me share this with you. I'll share with you. This is what started it all with me. Is in January, I signed up for this this crypto rating service, this Weiss crypto rating service, and it was $27.50 and $28.50, and that was a special deal. And if you wanted a lifetime membership, then it was double. But otherwise, you could go the second year and the third year and the fourth year. And I was just such a darn newbie. I'm just thinking, I like being told what to do. So let me sign up. And you know what? Information is worth it, in my opinion. And they had some great promotion. I didn't realize how much of it was self-promotion. But so anyway, I got this as a member. Don't miss our first ever buy alert for these 3 red hot cryptos. Okay. You're a member of the service, ladies and gentlemen. Let me look you in the eye. Here. Okay. Read that one more time. Don't miss our first ever buy alert for these 3 red hot cryptos. Okay. Nick still isn't in the house. So I'm going to continue on this, but now I'm looking you in the eye. So what would you think? I kind of thought that, he was promoted this coming Tuesday. Years of hard work and millions of dollars in research expenses will finally come to fruition. We will all realize our first ever buy signals for a powerful group of rare, virtually unknown cryptocurrencies that are about to burst out of the digital shadows. Woo! Man, I was excited. Tuesday, 2 p.m. I took a little time off of work, I'll admit it. And I was glued to my computer on my lap. And I had my notepad out and I was ready. And all of a sudden, 3, 2, 1, go. All of a sudden it started playing. And then there was a button underneath the video that said video transcript. I'm like, let me click on that because I kind of think this must have been pre-produced. I was kind of hoping it was going to be like freeballing it, they were just going to go freeform and talk to us like we're subscribers, like we're part of a club, it was a special meeting. Shh, don't tell anybody else out there in cryptocurrency land, but Uncle Vigilante, Uncle Odd, I'll figure a way to get that information to you. That's what I'm thinking in my mind, right? Well, I will tell you that when I read the transcript, I started reading, and I'm a biz dev guy. I do lots of biz dev, so I kind of know how that stuff walks and talks, and the opening of a presentation or a speech, or if you're wanting to be persuasive or lead someone this way. And so I just said, F it. I'm going right to the end because I can, because they have the whole transcript right here. Why don't I just take my mouse, click it over here and pull it down, pull it down, pull the sheets down. And that's what I did. And at the end, they didn't give me a buy alert for 3 red hot cryptos. No, what they gave me was, it was a freaking infomercial. The whole thing was an infomercial for yet another service, to where if you really want those 3 red hot cryptos, You, because you're a Weiss member, you're going to be able to get it for $2,500 instead of retail $3,000. But then they show you all these charts, on all these, that go like this, that do all this parabolic shit that if you would have gotten in back when it was a red hot undiscovered crypto, well, then, you kind of feel like, hey, that's not an expense. That's an investment. Information is an investment. And so I was pissed off because, and then they were relentless. Like this email that I was just sharing with you, that just came this afternoon. It just popped up again. It's like if they didn't beat you upside the head the first time, first of all, it was the premature thing, the premature encryptolation, and then you get there and you're getting it on, and then you're like, you just, you kind of lose it. And then afterwards, when you feel shamed that you lost it and that you even got sucked into this in the first place, then they hammer you over the head. But what made it worse for me was that I actually picked up the phone and I called him. I went 1.0 on him. That's what my family members call it when I get mad. They call it, dad 0.0. So I don't get mad very often, though. But when I get mad, I get mad. My wife says a lot. Not a lot. I'll have her. I'll have Mrs. Vigilante on here sometime. You'll like her. But she always says that Uncle Odd is nice until he's not. And I think that's about right. So this girl over there picking up the phone call at Weiss, she got an earful from me. And I basically laid down the challenge. I said, look, I think this is deceptive. I think it's fake left, go right. I did a cigar walk. If you go down there and you read, I think I titled it Fake Left Go Wrong. But I called and I just said, look, here's Worldly Traveler. Here's Worldly Traveler. Come on in. Come on into my house, Worldly Traveler. You just get your pretty little self on in here.
There we are.
You come on in here, Papa Nick. How are you? Are we gonna get enjoy your mug, or are you gonna be audio the whole time?
Oh no, I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Excellent. Well, welcome to Money. Yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. So, Worldly Traveler, I'll just finish up my story here that I'm having with Steve in the chat. Let me go. Where is? I don't even know if I have my chat anymore. Am I even live streaming? Oh, is this kind of a cluster or what? It says I'm live streaming.
Are you live streaming? Are you ready to go?
Oh yeah, we're live streaming already. There we go. We have a few people in the chat. Fi-Fi's World, Steve, Coman. You guys rock. Okay. So I was just finishing up the story, and there's an ending to the story today that Nick, that I've shared with you. And
with that one company, with the research.
Yeah, with Weiss Ratings, I shared with. I'll share it with you real quick, and I just want to ask your opinion. Just tell me if I'm just off base, please. Based on the headline alone, and you're already a member, okay? You're a member, and you get this with this sense of urgency. Do you think that with this headline that they're going to give you some inside baseball on the next hot undiscovered crypto coin? 3, 2, 1, go. You read that.
Oh my God. Let's see. Yada. Well, to me, it would seem.
Well, let me. In case somebody's listening to this, it says, "Don't miss our first ever buy alert for these 3 red hot cryptos." So,
yeah, it gives you dates, right? Like right now, Friday, I've made my urgent crypto briefing.
Yeah,
Tuesday, March 2nd, we issue. So Tuesday, March 2nd, we issue our first ever trade alert on these cryptos. Crypto 123. Oh, and our favorite undiscovered crypto with 50x profit potential.
Yeah, bottom line is when you take a look at it, it was just
signed by Martin D. Weiss.
Yeah. So these guys, where's my, let's stop share. So what they did, it was just total fake left go, right? They know what they're doing. And so
that's a sales pitch. Buy now.
Yeah, but you know what? It's wrong. It's wrong. And it's like, so I told this girl in customer service, I said, look, let's do me a favor, go back to your head honchos and tell them that, you have somebody who is new to this and who also, is very passionate about it. And, I dove into the shallow end head first with Weiss. And, do me a favor. At minimum, why don't you guys come back to me with what I thought you promised, and I think your marketing promises, and you kind of probably know it does, but that's the hook, isn't it? And I said, why don't you just give me 3 coins that you guys on the inside feel pretty comfortable about, that if I were going to go buy something right now, what would those 3 horses be that you would suggest betting on? And I would not take that as investment advice or anything. I just want a little bit of insight, which is what I thought was promised. I didn't hear back. So I called again yesterday, and she responded by email saying, hey, I sent it up the ladder. But, and then, so this morning I'm like, screw this. And I just called and I'm like, I want a refund. So where it ended up was everything was $5,700 for the lifetime membership. And I ended up, she says that it's non-refundable for the first year, but she would give me the second year back. So I'm happy about that, in that I didn't get screwed entirely. I only got half screwed. And, but that half screwing, that ended up paying for Max's. And then there was this other one that oh gosh, what is the name of the dude? Anyway, another one that is really,
whatever newsletter or something like this that he has going out.
Yeah, he does. But then there's another one that, goodness gracious, where is it from last night? Anyway, it's another service that Max suggested. And I listened to it. I went all in on that, because he actually showed data, and he promises, 2 to 3 coins the first of every month, and his track record is 55 out of 56. So that is unbelievable. I mean, and look, I don't think Max would be recommending this guy and it was really reasonable too. I mean, in retrospect to what I did not get from Weiss. So okay. Yeah, so there was I feel a little bit of Friday closure here. But I want to let everyone know that Nick and I have made we walked down the aisle a little bit of a commitment. And I just enjoy the hell out of talking with you, Nick. I mean, we talk a lot through the week, just through Telegram voice chat. And that's kind of fun. And I'm like, I think others would benefit from that, instead of copying all of them, pull them into it. I'm like, why don't we do something? I know we're going to do something this Friday on Monero. I said, if you're open to it, what do we kind of just do a hangout every Friday and just collect, what happened through. I'm already collecting, by the way, not for this week, We'll talk about it, but I have a few things that I wanted to talk about today that have happened throughout the week that I would just flinch you with. I think that you'd be an awesome sounding board. And then people in the friends in the chat, Friday night's going to be a lot more casual. It's not going to be, a program necessarily every Friday, but you can get involved too. And if people are interested and open to it, shit, I'll put a Zoom link in the chat and you guys can Zoom in if you want and ask questions. We'll just make a little, Uncle Odd reunion right around here.
Like a little Uncle Odd get together, a little, what is it? Meet and greet. Wine and cheese. Yeah.
I choose to call it 1 + 1 = 11. All right, let's talk Monero, baby. Monero, it's a private, decentralized cryptocurrency. It seems like everybody is saying you got to go get it. It's seemed like it's been kind of hard to get it. It seems, and I'm talking about being a newbie, and and then you feel bad because you haven't gotten it yet. And then you see everybody saying that it's dipping. It's almost at 200. If you don't get it, then you should have gotten it. So we're at a point right here to where I think we're making it too difficult. First of all, I'd like to get you to just describe to us what Monero is, why it's important, and then we can talk about how you go out and get it easily. And I think I have what somebody shared this morning, which I'm like, that's what you do? Really? It can be that easy? So give us your thoughts.
Get my notes and I'll be right back.
What's that?
No, I was just going to turn on my computer. So I did jot down a few notes earlier today.
Yeah. And by the way, you're a lot better. Your volume's a lot better being a little closer.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to get a headset, but like when I get back to the States, I get a chance to get one.
You're in Acapulco right now?
Yeah, I'm in Acapulco, Mexico.
Okay. Why did we lose your handsome mug?
Oh, I'm going to turn it back on. Just turn on my computer right now.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Just wait a moment and I'll be ready for you. I just had to look at my notes.
No problem. Jeffro, I'm glad that you love my stories and experiences. I'll share more. I like my cigar walks, and I ordered off of Amazon this selfie stick for my cell phone, and you've seen a couple of videos, and I think it does a good job at keeping it stabilized, but it's just, I don't like it. I mean, all right, but I don't.
So Monero is start all over again. So Monero is a privacy coin. Basically, how much you hold in your account or how much you hold in your wallet, plus who you're sending it to, or who's sending it to you, remains private. So you can easily look up a lot of this information on getmonero.org, which is, of course, the official website for the Monero Foundation. It is basically, there's some things in there on the website, basically like a basic explainer video.
Hey, how about starting with this? What does Monero mean?
Monero means money in Esperanto.
Okay. All right.
And Esperanto is, are you familiar with Esperanto? No, I'm not. So it was developed, God, I can't remember who the linguist was. It was like ages ago, God, in 1800s, I believe. He developed basically a universal language, which this linguist combined the basic grammar of a lot of languages and the basic vocabulary of a lot of languages and created what he called a universal language.
Okay.
So with a lot of European languages, some Germanic languages, and some Latin languages to have a common root, but also to be a universal international language that would be easy for everybody to learn and communicate with.
Okay.
It's more of a hobbyist kind of thing. It never really took off because I think English kind of primarily, if you look at linguistic terms, it's pretty much a universal language of the world. It's
sure.
Kind of, English is, it's kind of, because it's a mishmash anyways, it ends up being an easy language for a lot of people. Hard in some ways for people to learn, but easy in some ways for people to pronounce and speak. Because a lot of languages have a very complicated pronunciation, but Monero means money in Esperanto.
Okay. Yeah, my feeling with people who know more than English yet speak English is they know one more language than me. So we know who's really the smarter one in the family. It's not this guy.
Well, like they say, well, no, like they say is like you can't be prejudicial against somebody who speaks English with an accent because they know one more language than you do.
Yeah,
You know?
that's right. That's
So
exactly right.
So language, like, because English might be for somebody the second, third, or fourth language, right? You know, so
Yeah.
you know, it's like you people make fun of them, but yeah, at least they know at least one more language than you do, right? You know, so
Right. So okay. So Monero, let's back up the bus a little bit. You had Bitcoin is kind of the root of everything, right? So when you think about a big giant tree,
it's sort of the Bitcoin can be thought of as what would you say as the model, but not the software base, the code base can be different for different types of cryptocurrencies because Ethereum has different code base than Bitcoin.
are you a coder?
No, but I understand some of the principles. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I remember now. You have financial background.
Yeah, financial, international economics, basically.
Okay.
So the code base is a little bit different. So Monero has its own code base. In other words, it was structured and built up not as a clone of Bitcoin, but from its own code.
Okay.
Its own programming language, or you know, that'd be the easiest way to explain it.
Okay. So Bitcoin, everybody, let's say Bitcoin is America and that code base is English, right? just I have to go analogies. Otherwise it doesn't sink in. And what you're telling me that that Monero isn't Canada that's connected to us, but it's freaking China. It was built elsewhere.
Like Switzerland, how about that?
What's that? Yeah, more like Switzerland. Thank you.
Because we're talking about secrecy, private bank accounts, more like the Swiss bank account approach. How about that?
Yeah, that's better.
Nobody knows what you have, and nobody knows how much you have. How about that? Yeah. That's the easiest analogy.
So with Bitcoin, going all the way back to when a coin is originally mined, every time that coin is purchased by somebody or sent to somebody, paying for something, whatever. But if that happens 10 times by the time it gets to you, you have a record of that coin all the way back to the original minting. So, I don't think you necessarily know who, but you know how much. Well, you help me with that. What all do you know when you get it that you can look back in history and see?
Basically Bitcoin is like if I like let's say you have an accountant or a bookkeeper, right? And they're keeping notes or a ledger of the money that you spend and the money you receive for your business.
Yes.
That's what Bitcoin is like. It's like your checkbook or your checking account. So I can see how much you're bringing in, how much you're sending out, who it went to. You understand what I mean? So it's very easy. So the addresses in Bitcoin are not names of individuals. They're names of a wallet, right? A wallet within the network. So we can also take a look at that wallet within the network and see how much that wallet has in terms of how many coins it has or the amount of funds it has in the wallet.
So then,
as long as you know the public address of that particular wallet.
Okay. So people would know the public address of Tesla's wallet then, right? Or like, since they just put in.
People do know how much is held in that wallet. Yeah, because it's on the public ledger. There are ways they're coming up with ways in the Bitcoin would you say development group, there's another name for it. But basically within the foundation, yeah, they're not adding on those layers yet, but there's the thought of adding on ZK snarks or privacy features to Bitcoin. You can kind of obscure some of that stuff now if you want to, with a few extra steps. But normally, yeah, I mean, it's very easy. Like if you gave me your Bitcoin wallet address, I could just basically use what's called the Bitcoin Explorer and find out how much Bitcoin you have in your wallet. It'd be very easy to just type in a public address because it's kind of like, the easiest way would be the Bitcoin or the phone book. If your name is in the phone book and your address is in there, I know where you are. You know?
Oh, that's
So,
good. That's a good analogy. I
yeah,
like,
yeah. So, and
I
then if
like,
that
and,
phone book
and then,
contained like the
and
size
then,
of your bank account, then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, this guy has so many Bitcoins in his account. I mean, but like I'm saying, it's kind of, I don't want to over analyze or not. I don't want to over push the analogy because I don't know exactly who you are. I could with blockchain analytics,
yeah.
maybe pay for your IP address and something like that. They say it's possible. But otherwise, I would just knowing the Bitcoin wallet address, I would just know like how much is in your bank account. That's
So if you're a private kind of person, it's just like with the phone book, if we're going to borrow that analogy, and I think it's a good one. So if you have a phone book and you go look for the O's, for the odds, for Uncle Odds, the number may have been there, but there may have been one day when it became available to where I said, damn, I want my number non-published. I don't want everyone to see it. So Monero came along, right? And they figured out a way to say, hey, I don't want my information out there where people can see it. I want my coin non-published. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're definitely right on the right track. Because what Monero has, and not a total expert on Monero, but I just know some of
Yeah.
the basic overview. Right, I'll give you the basic overview. Yeah. So what Monero has is what's called it would be the couple of features that Monero has different than Bitcoin. Right, is that the basically your wallet's public address never appears on the blockchain. So your
Okay.
balance is always kept private. There's something called rigged signatures, which obscure who the sender is. So it kind of mixes things together. And then stealth addresses that hide who the person is receiving. If you're sending Monero from your wallet to another person, that hides who's actually receiving the Monero. And then it's called ring confidential transactions, RCT. Also hide the amounts that you're sending.
Okay.
So if you were to have somebody's, and I've tried out myself too, because I screwed up one thing on there one time. Not really screwed it up, but what happened is I was trying to figure out on the Block Explorer, knowing my address, what I had sent for an exchange to my Monero wallet, basically on Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure it out because it will give you some information, but it won't tell you what the amount is in that particular wallet. That's all hidden, so you can't
Okay.
find. So
So
basically, a lot of people like Monero because it's basically private by design. Nobody knows what you have, nor how much you have in terms of your wallet, nor where you're nor where you're sending it to. Who you're sending it to, how much you're sending. They like that. All those privacy features are basically, and you can add if you run your own node that you can enhance privacy features, but those are all the basic privacy features are integrated.
yeah. So basically, it's non-traceable.
Yeah, it's not traceable.
And let's just look the elephant in the room right in the eyes. Okay.
Yeah, what's that?
It's like we're all getting into this and we see this parabolic, you get a Bitcoin, let's say. Let's just say that we're all fortunate enough to have one Bitcoin. Let's say that that Bitcoin is $50,000, right? And you buy it on Coinbase and you take it off into a cold storage wallet to keep it safe, along with the keywords. And you don't forget them. You don't screw that part up. And lo and behold, in 2 years, Bitcoin happens to be at $300,000. And you would like to be able to maybe pay down part of your house, maybe buy a car, maybe fund a wedding, maybe do something with that. Well, now when you bring that out of your cold storage wallet and you do anything with it, that becomes a taxable event, I believe. What would it be? It would be a capital gain. Probably in the US, that would be, if you've held it for over a year, that would be taxed, I think, 15%, but who knows with this new administration. Could be a lot more. Or if you did it earlier, you'd be taxed at your current tax rate. So depending upon where you live, that could be anywhere. I mean, if you live in California, you might out of every dollar, you may take 45 cents home. So with Monero, you could convert that Bitcoin somewhere magical, like within the Exodus wallet, I believe. And that's what was so simple this morning. This guy said, how do you buy Monero? Buy any coin with fiat money through an exchange. As soon as you get your fiat money, convert it into crypto, then you withdraw your crypto onto your private wallet on such as Exodus. And when you get the crypto inside your Exodus wallet, you simply use the built-in Shapeshift exchange. I didn't know there was such a thing. Shapeshift exchange inside Exodus to convert your cryptos to Monero. And then you can just hold those onto you'd have to have a Trezor T if you're using a Trezor, because Trezors don't do it. You have to have the T. Now that Bitcoin really is never going to see the light of day again, is it? Because it was exchanged, and now you have this Monero that is non-traceable. So then if you bring that back out onto an exchange, and let's say that you wanted to pay down your house $250,000, can that be a taxable event? I guess that's the question. I mean, isn't that kind of one of the benefits here?
Well, so what happens is that, yes, it could be, because whenever it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Okay. Because technically, if you're going onto an exchange that's collecting all your personal information and data, they're going to report it to the local tax authorities.
They're gonna report that you took your
transaction. And so the local tax authorities will go, well, hey, where did you get it? Where did you come from? How much did you pay for it? So yeah, it's kind of like,
but time out.
It's kind of like, because you could also do an over-the-counter private sale too, or you can just pay. But if you're talking about, let's say, so many years in the future, you can just pay somebody directly in Monero for what you're going to buy anyways. I mean, why go to an exchange?
Right. But my point is, if you buy it for $50,000 on Coinbase and you take it off, then the Coinbase, you've never sold it for anything more than you bought it. So that's not a taxable event. Now when you're
converting it back into fiat, because you're going to one system.
But that's my whole point here, is that if you then convert it into Monero, which is not traceable, then when you use that Monero, it can't be tied back to that original Bitcoin. It's like that Bitcoin could be on my offline cold storage wallet forever.
Right, but what the IRS is considering, what is property, right? So the asset itself, if you read what Coinbase had talked about on their website, and you couldn't do the Coinbase, anyways, Coinbase doesn't list Monero, so it'd have to be another exchange. But yeah, let's walk through this. Yeah, so you buy the Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, 50K, current price of 47 something, 45, whatever. Yeah, send it over to the Exodus wallet, or do it through privately.
Yeah, right.
Or let's say Monero, and then storing it somewhere, the waiting in time that appreciates in value. But if you're moving it to an exchange that basically is operating like a bank or operating like another brokerage, which collects all your personal data, then that could possibly be reported to your local tax authority. Do you understand what I mean? Because they would have your passport information, your tax ID information, all that kind of stuff. Because what's happening is we're selling this piece of property for fiat, for the local government currency. So when we do that exchange, it is a sale of some sort, and then they might want to know what is the original value of that property, right? So that's where it gets a little
okay. That's where it's a total disconnect for me, because it just seems to me from the summit that the whole mission is to be able to, get a good bit of your portfolio into Monero.
Right, but you have to back up a step. Why go through an exchange at all? Do you really need to? I mean, and that's the thing. If let's say a few years from now, Monero appreciates.
Well, the reason why is to be easy for a newbie. if you're feeling all of this pressure.
I mean, the thing about it for newbie, you could also just find someone who wants to be paid in Monero for something, or if you find somebody who doesn't really understand it, say, hey, I can pay you in Monero. This is how it works, and that could be the easy way to close.
That'd be like somebody coming up to me and saying, "Hey, can you pay me in Monero?" Back in December when I didn't even know what.
4 or 5 years from now, when it more appreciates the value, people understand it's more. It might be pretty easy to do. People are like, yeah, sure, But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's tricky because if you're not. The thing about it is we can forecast things. We can't really predict everything, especially in the markets and with laws. The laws about property and taxes and all that. You can only guess at it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you can really do. And I would say, yeah, I mean, to me, it could possibly be if they have all your information and they're going to be recorded by whatever contract agreement, terms and conditions of your account with that company, then that's where it gets kind of sticky, right? It's almost better to handle private sale. And that's where we can kind of segue into things like that, like the ways that you can kind of buy it would be privately and sell it privately is like local Monero, localmonero.co. There's several different ways you can pay for Monero on there. There's like a ton of different ways actually, and like localmonero.co has got like you can do a cash by mail, bank transfer.
Cash by mail. Walk through that because that kind of makes me want to poop my pants a little bit thinking about shipping $5,000 to some.
It's what it is, like cash by mail, like probably money order could be possible, could be actual cash. You can use Cash App, Perfect Money. It depends. So what happens is this is like a localmonero.com is like a little online network kind of like connection where
is it .com or .co?
.co, localmonero.co.
Okay.
So it's basically like an online little exchange. It's a person peer-to-peer is what they call it, person-to-person exchange. And people can buy or sell Monero on that exchange.
Okay.
They can either use another cryptocurrency to swap for Monero, or they can use, they've got all, it depends upon the seller, but the sellers have, accept almost anything, Cash App, Zelle, Apple Pay, gift card, Venmo, crypto for crypto, mobile top up, cash deposit, and cash. So cash by mail.
So then you just have to give them a wallet address, a public wallet address.
Yeah, you have to give them a wallet address that they would deposit it to, and then you'd have to know so it's kind of like an eBay sort of thing for Monero. So each seller has their own conditions. They have their own ratings too. So you want to go with the people with the highest ratings available on there, the best performance. And then each has their prices that they're selling it for, the amount of Monero or amount of cash transactions they can do, and their payment conditions. So it's not all like just one set conditions. It depends upon the seller.
Hey, you know what happened one time?
Yeah.
Here in the United States, they made alcohol illegal, called prohibition. What happens if they come out, the Druid Babylonian bastards come out who are running the show, and they say privacy coins are now illegal? You will get, if you get caught trading or buying any kind of privacy coins, you're going to be arrested.
Yeah. What do you think would happen?
Well, I think people still got drunk.
Work.
Yeah, exactly.
How long is the war on drugs working? I mean, really.
Right. Yeah. So
prohibition doesn't work. And it doesn't work with decentralized cryptocurrencies because the network is resilient and is not dependent upon any central point of contract or any headquarters. It's spread amongst their worldwide network, so it doesn't work. So Nigeria
is it kind of like a chameleon, where you cut off its tail and it.
India is trying to ban cryptocurrencies. Nigeria is trying to ban it. The only thing that happens is it just increases the premium purchasing it, but people will still trade in it. I mean,
got it. In
the black market, it will emerge and serve the marketplace, serve the economy, because It's basically the theory of good money after bad, right? We're already experiencing this real time in the United States. I mean, people are, and if you ever watch a site called fiatleak.com, you'll see how much is being flying out, and they're tracking Monero too as well on that site, is how much is flowing out of fiat, whether it's the US dollar, the Japanese yen, or the Chinese renminbi. It's just there's no stopping it. Whether it's banned in a country or not, people will still trade. And people want a reliable currency they realize is not going to inflate. In other words, look at the case of Venezuela, right? By the time you get paid in the morning, around lunchtime, right? They have, it's crazy. But so the time you get paid in the morning, by the time you get paid in the morning, you say, I'm going to go to the supermarket as I finish work, everything will increase at least 1,000% in price.
Jeez.
It just doesn't work. People have to survive. The economics of human survival dictate that you have to have a reliable economic structure on which to participate and which to transact. And if you cannot predict what's going to happen next, then we'll switch to another currency that's stronger, more reliable. US dollar is one. That's entirely true. Cryptocurrencies are another. US dollar, of course, is, I think in its last phases of being a world reserve currency. We're heading to a Bitcoin reserve currency. I agree with Max Kaiser on that, and that's entirely true. So yes, they can, but any country that tries, look at Cuba. Cuba is a basket case too, because they're like, oh, we're going to make this illegal, and people trade in dollars. They don't go for their local currencies. And Cuba has this double currency system, like zlotys, I forgot what it is. They have an internal currency that if you go as a foreigner, you got to trade for the internal currency, which is marked up higher in price than the foreign currency, but you're really losing out because the internal currency is not traded internationally. So it's a bit of idiocy that we see with communist governments. It doesn't work. But that's why they eventually collapsed. That's why the Soviet Union collapsed, because these in international marketplace based upon free markets, freedom of movement, and what is called actual mark to value, which is what we experience in American economies with all our bailouts, all of the things that we've done. We have not marked everything to value. So, and that's where Bitcoin started, right? 2009. So we have to mark things to value, what is basically extremely inflated, and it's happening now. That's why we're experiencing a lot of
except
it can't be done.
You know what hasn't risen in price forever? But bananas just haven't risen in price. That's that Ab the fakeologist. He's one of my friends. He always reminds me of that. He's just puzzled why bananas don't.
They might not have risen in price, but look at quantities. Sometimes quantities per weight, the amount or the size of the bananas that you get in terms of the
quality
used to eat, or the size and the qualities might be different.
Yeah.
Same way that soda cans have shrunk and cereal boxes.
Yeah, exactly. What? That's called. They've been Walmarted.
Hidden inflation. It's also called hidden inflation.
Yeah. So
the producer can't. Same amount.
Nick, for some reason, it's like you're going in and out every other word. So I don't know.
Maybe it's a Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah, it might be. We got to get you a mic. That's what we have to do. We need to get you a microphone.
You might be able to hear it better over here. Let's see.
All right. Speak to us.
Yeah. Anyways, what's your next question?
My next question was, I think what I was describing earlier, somebody asked the question. Somebody said, blah, blah, blah. Let me look. Nano, Joe. When atomic swaps go live, billions will flow into Monero. It's the Cayman Islands of crypto, folks. So is that swapping from Bitcoin to Monero, is that called an atomic swap? What is an atomic swap?
An atomic swap is like a general term. Basically, it's a way of operating peer-to-peer and exchanging money from me to another person directly. So it would be my wallet going over basically a network of sorts, and then swapping directly that way without having an exchange.
Oh, shit. I get it. Okay. So instead of meeting, I'm sorry. I just have to draw an analogy for it to sink in. I'm just like, I can take my my dollar from my pocket and put it directly into your pocket without having to go through some kind of a judge in between that verifies that, yes, this is a dollar and it came from your pocket and it's going into his pocket. I can just say, get out of my way, judge, and pick your pocket.
No, it's exactly it. That's exactly it. I mean, it's basically the two protocols, because you have well, the thing is to think about it is you have two different blockchains. So you have to have a piece of software that enables these two blockchains to talk to each other.
Hold on. You want to see the world's biggest therapy dog? Hold on.
Okay. Oh, your dog wants attention, huh?
Come here. Ah!
Wow, huge.
That's oh God. That's 125 pounds of pure love. Whew. Got my workout in. That's Zammy the giant sheepadoodle. If anybody wants to go see his work, he has 142,000 followers on Instagram. Just search for Zammy Pup.
What I got.
Man. And yeah, that was he's a big boy. But anyway, yeah, this is another thing that why you tune in, folks, to the Uncle Vigilante Show, the man who doesn't know shit.
Wow.
It's my dog just left me an atomic swap, if you know what I mean. I think that scared the shit out of him, literally almost. Anyway, where were we before we got atomic swap?
How the atomic swap happens. So you have two different blockchains, Bitcoin and Monero. The atomic swap basically is allowing, it's a piece of software, a protocol that will allow those two blockchains to interact with each other. So we can swap back and forth our funds to each other in two different blockchains that are normally disconnected. That's the easiest way to explain it.
And so how is it done now? If I'm gonna swap from Bitcoin to Monero,
if you're doing it, basically it's going from one wallet, stays in one wallet, then changes to the other. So with an exchange, the exchange will happen. It's like what would you call it? Market makers? That's the word. So the exchange itself is basically the matchmaker between two different orders. Same way that happens on the stock market, right? If you're buying Apple shares,
okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the Apple shares, but like let's say when you're sending that to exchange holds it for a little while, or they have their pool of coins that will be what you're selling yours for. So if you're selling your Bitcoin from Monero, they have some Monero on hand, or they pull some Monero off of the marketplace, and then they will send you that Monero, and then they'll take your Bitcoin. Or
okay.
And basically they end up being the matchmaker. But in this case, it's directly person to person, just with the software engaging with the two different types of software, the two different types of blockchains, and doing that link up instead directly, without having to go through an exchange, without having to go through the servers of the exchange. So it ends up being a private sale. It ends up being an automatic private sale that you can't trace, because the exchanges themselves are keeping records and details and logs of everything that happens, because they have to. They generally, most of them are centralized exchanges, are licensed by the local government. So they're keeping records of a lot of the transactions that you do on there.
I bet in some ways this whole blockchain Bitcoin thing pisses the governments off, doesn't it?
It sort of, I mean, it's kind of like it probably pisses off the tax revenue people of any sort.
Yeah.
But it's also it's actually a double-edged sword, because I mean, once they catch up to it, I mean, you have it, they could easily trace where your Bitcoin is gone. That's why we're talking about Monero, right?
Yes.
So, this much Bitcoin, you've got this much in your wallet, at your wallet address. So if they happen to get that information, of course, then they would.
Hey, has anyone ever bought, let's say 100 Bitcoins? Let's say they bought 2,000 or 1,000 Bitcoins when it was at $2, and they just forgot about it, and they wrote their keywords down somewhere, and they just lost him. Has anyone ever done that?
Then what's that? Oh, lost their, you're talking about when they lost their private key to their Bitcoin
The
wallet?
Bitcoin, their private key, they just lost it all. All they knew is they had 1,000 Bitcoins on it.
Yeah, a lot of people
A
have.
lot of people. So the question, my question is I don't give a shit if they could tell that I bought a Bitcoin somewhere. The question is, I mean, can't you just plead the fifth and just, I don't know. I can't remember.
It only becomes an event that's important if you're actually selling it for something. Because, like you could say, that could be
converted into Monero. You converted it to Monero.
You could get into Monero. But even if you sell the Monero for cash, unless it's a private sale, and if you do it through an exchange, then somebody will be keeping a record, right? So we have to think privacy, right? That's the P word, right?
Right.
See, privacy. So privacy in all of your transactions with using Monero is the best way to go.
Okay. Okay. Well,
that's
I'm sold.
Otherwise,
I'm sold.
Having it.
I'm sold. But isn't all that privacy stuff just for criminals? Why would somebody law-abiding person ever want to be that private?
Well, if you're a multimillionaire, you're somebody who has a lot of assets. I mean, it's always like people have a right to privacy. I do agree with that in anarcho-capitalist kind of sense of things. You have a right to privacy. I don't know how much you have in your bank account unless you tell me, right? And there's no need for me to know it. I don't need to have. I can't go to the bank. Let's say you're a bank. And go, well, hey, how much does he have in his bank account? What does he have? What does he do? Where does he live? And all this. No, there's a right to think about it, right? When you sign up for the bank or when you have a bank account, you have a right to privacy. So it's the same way with any of your financial transactions. You're not. My bank will be like giving you all my personal information if you're not a joint bank account holder with me, right? So we all have a right to privacy. We all have a right to some sense of security in our financial affairs, right? And privacy in our financial affairs. And I think a lot of it is not that people have anything to hide. It's more that you don't want other people to see what you have, and that's kind of true.
So that brings
criminals, because if criminals know how much you have, they could be knocking at your door and breaking it down, right?
Yeah. So that helps me with another analogy then. So you could almost think of Bitcoin as your credit card, where those transactions are being tracked all the time. But if you took, let's say, $1,000 of cash off of your credit card, exchanging it to Monero, the cash being the Monero, then whatever the hell you do with the cash, that's not traceable. Nobody's going to know.
Exactly right.
Right? Isn't that kind of the idea?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Hold on one second.
I got into UF.
Oh, wow. My daughter just told me she got into University of Florida, which is a big deal.
Congratulations.
You have to be really smart to get into UF. So, that I should go high five her. That's awesome. So anyway, first time she's ever interrupted one of these. So good job, Lana.
High five. Good job.
That's great. That's great. Where was I? Okay, so I was just drawing the analogy of cash. So basically, it's like we just want to be able to spend our money on what we want to spend it on, and we don't want. I mean, can you imagine if the government was tracking every single one of your dollar bills, your $5 bills, your $100 bills?
Exactly.
That's kind of what they're wanting to do with these Bitcoin transactions. They're, I think. Right. So,
well, they have the ability to do it. So you have to remember that Bitcoin is an open ledger, right? So anybody can read the ledger. Monero is a sealed, encoded, encrypted ledger that not anybody can read unless they are the one that has the wallet. That is basically, you are the user of that particular wallet. You know what's going in and out of your wallet. Nobody else can see that. That's the whole concept. But Bitcoin was designed to be an open ledger so that we can actually, and that's the thing. So when we're talking about Bitcoin, governments don't want to See, cryptocurrencies are kind of a double-edged sword for governments like Bitcoin and Ethereum because governments don't want an open ledger. We would know how much corruption, how much theft,
Right.
how many bribes were being paid out. That's why the US dollar is the ultimate sort of black market currency, right? Because it's easily dilutable and spent and distributed throughout the world, so it's basically governments don't want a trackable open ledger. They actually really hate it because it would expose the level of corruption, misappropriation, everything that they do. And they really don't want a digital dollar. They lying because they really don't want anything that's transparent. They hate transparency.
Yeah, they do.
But they're acquiescing because, of course, they're trying to keep pace with Bitcoin. They're trying to keep pace with Ethereum. They would probably even be more prefer to use Monero than anybody else because they keep everything private.
Right. I just had Randy ask in the chat. Randy asked, instead of encouraging her to go to university, how about encouraging her to start a business? Well, you know what? No, not everybody has that entrepreneurial brain and will. Maybe one day she will, but she has worked really hard to get where that was the school she really wanted to go to, and kind of conceded that she maybe not have gotten the scores on her ACTs or SATs or whatever the hell they were, but she did. So we're proud of her. So yeah, go Gators. So I listen to this. I did a little bit of research before, and this was one little bit that I'm just going to read that I thought, kind of it helped me a little bit. So let's just try it on. So they said Monero, meaning coin, that's what they said in this article, meaning coin, and Esperanto, or in Esperanto, started out in 2014 as a fork in Bitcoin, the first private cryptocurrency to be created. The mineral and I took a video and I ran it through this software. So if I destroy some things or I sound like that's a wrong word, it's because that's what they heard and they wrote, and I haven't edited this. So don't worry about it. Like mineral protocol, I don't think that should probably be minimal protocol. Obfuscates the three parts of any cryptocurrency transaction: the sender, the receiver, and the amount sent. So let's see how this is done. For each part to obfuscate the transaction, their signature is combined with past signatures from the mineral blockchain. Why is it mineral? Where are they? It's not mineral, right? It's from the blockchain.
No, I don't know where they got mineral from, but it's Monero.
Oh yeah, it's from the Monero. Jesus, from the from the Monero blockchain, and is actually sent with the transaction. The amount being sent is obfuscated by ring confidential transaction, or ring set for short. I won't go into that. Screw that. I'm not going to read that to everybody. I need to edit it first, and so it's not. That's not good radio. So, but yeah, at bottom, I just kind of want to keep as much money as I earn. That's all. Is that too much to ask? We just don't want
too much to ask. It kind of cracks me up, but so because I think people have it's a good tool to use. That's all I can say. It's a good tool to use. It is a good tool to get Monero. This is what I'm talking about. Is a good thing to get familiar with. Yes, because like I said, with Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, were not designed to be secret and private. They were not designed for you to hide your transactions, which is actually totally goes against the media propaganda, which is kind of funny because I can easily trace transactions easily once I know the address. I can see exactly, if I know your Ethereum address, I can know exactly how much you have for your Ethereum wallet. So it takes me like 10 seconds because I go into Etherscan, type in the address, and bam, it's right there. So there's no hiding of it. I have your Bitcoin address. I can go into the Bitcoin Explorer. There's several of those. And same way with Ethereum, type it in, bam, it's there. So it's not meant to create that wall of privacy. There are ways that you can create a wall of privacy kind of a privacy shield of sorts, yeah. It takes a little extra effort for people. But by nature, yes, something like Monero is designed to have that privacy already in place, already happening. So that's where its appeal is for a lot of people. The only thing is we've talked about back and forth. A lot of people are confused how to buy it, how to get it, because what's happened is a lot of exchanges delisted it because there's sort of this taint. There was this suspicion. It's in criminal activity. It's been used on the dark web. So, and that's really true. By nature, you can't tell where it came from. The Monero coins you have, you can't tell where they came from, who's had them, where they've been spent, where they've been used by the nature of its design.
Isn't the good argument for that? Isn't the good argument for that saying simply that you could say the same thing, sir, about cash?
Yeah, of course. It is fun, but that's the whole concept. It's fun. So what the problem people were having with Bitcoin and is the fact that certain Bitcoin addresses can be blocked, certain coin, can be, blacklisted, all this kind of things, which has happened because governments have done that. So, law enforcement agents in the U.S. have done that. So, yeah, it's possible. So, yeah,
let's unpack that a little bit, because there are such thing as dirty Bitcoins. And because they can identify where these coins were mined and where they've been, the officials can come in, and if you have a Bitcoin that is somehow been associated with a monster, illegal, whatever. I mean, whether it went through a child porn ring or a cocaine ring or whatever ring it went through, but that it went through there, and that is declared dirty. So even there may come a point in time to where they basically say, hey, that zip code doesn't work anymore. That's illegal to be able to spin that zip code because we consider that dirty. So there you go. You were innocent. You didn't know anything about that. Yeah. And so Monero protects you from dirty. So instead of Monero being, the bad guy here, Monero is kind of the functional savior. How's that for me, Jim, doing the mental gymnastics on that?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, it's kind of easy and understandable. Like you say, the best comparison with that is like Monero is cash, right? Yeah. So if you have $100 or $300, unless you know the exact serial numbers, where it's gone to, from when it originated at the mint to who it's been passed on to, for one person next, you have no idea who's held it, what it's been used for, what it's paid for. And that's entirely true. And that's right. The concept of Monero. And the trick is really buying it, right? Transfer or changing fiat into Monero if you want to do that. And that's where the trick for a lot of people comes in, because we've discussed local Monero. There's the BIS network, but the BIS network is a little complicated to use because it's BISQ network, and it's I think it's bisnetwork.net. It's a little because you can buy small amounts at the beginning, and it's because as you build your reputation and the reliability on the network, you buy larger amounts. So you can trade fiat for Monero on that particular network, but it does take a little time. You can't just buy a whole whack or several $1,000s all at once. But that's another private network, peer-to-peer type exchange.
Okay. So tell us about one of the benefits of Monero 2 is versus Bitcoin. If you want to spend, let's say that there is a cup of coffee for $10, let's round it up to $10, and you want to pay with Bitcoin, you're actually paying like $8, aren't you, to be able to have the pleasure of that $10 cup of coffee? So all in, you're $18. Whereas Monero, the fee is like minuscule in comparison. Is that true?
The network fees are meant to be really low. I think 0.3, something like that, Monero. And Bitcoin, because it is an uncontrolled marketplace, free marketplace. Yeah, the network fees can be pretty high. Same with Ethereum. Ethereum fees are skyrocketing through the roof. Sometimes to do a simple transaction.
What's a gas fee? What's the difference between a network fee and a gas fee?
They're the same thing. I mean, a gas fee is just different terminology.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
terminology. So a network fee for Monero is the same as what we call the gas fee in Ethereum. It's the fee that we pay the miners who process our transaction, the amount that of that currency or that particular cryptocurrency that we would pay them to process our transaction.
Okay.
The faster that we want the transaction, or the higher priority we want the faster we want it to be processed, then we have to place a higher priority. It's kind of like express mail versus regular mail, right? Okay, I want to send this message to so and so, because we are just sending messages across the network. So if we want to send a regular mail, maybe it's 20 cents, maybe a couple stamps, right? We want to send it by FedEx, then it might be $50. Do you understand?
Right.
So you can have that enormous leap in price. And if it's really busy, let's say it's Christmas time, let's do that analogy. It's Christmas time at the post office, and it's Christmas time at FedEx. Well, send a regular mail, yeah. You could send a regular mail, but it might take 2 weeks to get there.
Yep.
Send it by FedEx, it could go there overnight, but it's very busy at FedEx, so to get it out earlier, you have to get out earlier, you have to spend a little more. Instead of like going for next day, you might want to do overnight, which might be, $70, $60, whatever, versus trying to do it. So the problem, like you're saying, with a cup of coffee in Bitcoin is, well, if you're standing in line, buying something in a store, and this happened to me when I used to use Bitcoin debit cards, that transaction can fail because in that time there could be a jump in the miner's fee or the network fee. So and you're staying at the store, and the store is waiting for confirmation of the transaction. It might take a long time, right? Sometimes an hour with a Bitcoin transaction. So that's why people look up to alternatives to Bitcoin, because it's you're staying in a store. Does the merchant really want to wait around an hour for you to confirm the transaction, right?
Yeah.
They've got a long line. It's it's a busy time of day, and it's sort of so that's where Bitcoin's supposed to come on with the light network, supposed to make things easier. But yeah, people are looking at the Monero for, like you say, the miner fees are small, transaction times medium, but it's less congested than the Bitcoin network is right now.
So I just wanted to answer one question in here. Oh, this was Nano Joe. Assuming she's taking out a student loan, she could do better if she took out a loan and buying Bitcoin. She'll be able to retire in 3 to 5 years. Well, first of all, my daughter's dad, he's a planner. So her college is paid for. I did that college prepay thing. We started that when she was like 5. I can't remember. See, that's part of it. You just you get into some of these things and you put a little bit of money every month and you don't really miss it. And then all of a sudden college is paid for. And I have 4 daughters and they all went to college. So, 3 have, but I can't believe I'm almost an empty nester. Let's see. Did we lose Nick?
Well, I'm still here. I was just moving around a little bit, getting some water.
Oh, okay.
I'm still here.
I lost the view. Let me go back to, there we go.
I turned my camera back on.
There we go. All right. So everybody, one thing that I'm going to do is I've been collecting just as we go words that are whether it's arbitrage, atomic swap, bag holder. Someone's still holding an altcoin after a pump and dump crash. Let me know. Let me know in the chat if this is something that you'd like to go through a glossary, if you will, talking about the different words and unpacking the meaning of them, and just kind of start from the top. And these are the words that are in the ecosystem. Let's try to figure out what they mean. I want to do a show like that. So might be boring AF for some out there, but I think
well, it's slang. It's slang. It's jargon. It's every what would you call it? Profession has its jargon, right? Slang.
Yeah. I was recently called a cryptard by a friend of mine, You're a cryptard now? Jeez. I kind of wear it with pride. I kind of like being a cryptard. but I'm gonna own.
Better be called a cryptard than a node coiner. If you're a node coiner,
right. I should have said to him, but I'm going to be able to buy Costa Rica in 3 years.
You have the evil lair in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and I'm going to rename it Costco Rica because I'm suing them. I am. So, all right. Let's talk about, okay. There are ways that I guess Kraken is a good KYC exchange that lets you buy Monero with fiat.
Yeah, that's true.
Local,
Kraken, like you can just to go over that, it takes like 10 seconds. Really. Yeah, you can do a bank transfer to Kraken. You can wire transfer money to them, even from Europe. They accept, I think, accounts or customers. I'm sorry, that's the word, from Europe. They accept customers from, I think, Australia, Canada. And it is a know your customer. KYC is the abbreviation for it. Basically, an exchange where you have to register with your passport information, your tax ID number, your name, all that kind of thing. Not too much information, but they do keep records for any good transactions.
Yeah.
So
and you know what? Mm-hmm. And you know what? Honestly, that's what was really confusing coming out of that summit, was because everyone in there who had way more experience than us newbies, they're way more advanced on the importance of privacy and that you have to keep it. So for them, it's almost an afterthought. But for us newbies, to get to the point to where you're comfortable jumping through the hoops that they know how to do, you know how to do in your sleep. For us, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, come on, this is keeping us from getting into the game. Let's just not overcomplicate it. There are ways you could buy Bitcoin somewhere. You could send it to Binance, Cake Wallet, or another exchange and buy Monero or exchange it for Monero. So instead of trying to determine, well, maybe I got to get on an exchange that's not KYC, it's kind of like, just get a little experience. Who cares if you have to give your driver's license and information to them, and go just get some experience. Start with $1,000 and get some coins in an offline cold storage wallet. Because I'm telling you, don't be that guy or don't be that gal who in 3 years, when all of this is to the moon, and when it's 250,000 or 500,000 or whatever it is, don't be that person who was just sitting there just scared to get involved because it just wasn't perfect. Everything wasn't just perfectly easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the enemy of progress is perfection, and it always has been. So you don't have to be perfect here. We don't have to have the perfect solution. Chances are the government isn't going to come after us for our $1,000 investment and $200 profit in 2 weeks. If we make the mistake and take our profits in 2 weeks, just relax with it. I think this is not fun.
The idea is that's how I started. That's how I started banking. Because I did. So when I first started, was it 2015? Yeah, I tried to figure out how to buy Bitcoin as well. I was totally confused. So what happened is, but one of the things that was happening, and people will tell you that. And so, yeah, people want to buy through local Monero, but there's private sale has its own problems, because I talked to a lot of people who used to do private sales, and they got their bank accounts frozen because they would be, set up a bank account, and then they would be, like withdrawing money, or having money, the money would go back and forth, right? They would be mining the Bitcoin or getting it, and then having all these money deposits coming into their bank account, and the bank, oh my God, you're doing something illegal, which they weren't, but their bank. So one guy's, I had 3 bank accounts frozen. So it's not so easy, right? It's not so easy to withdraw the money, pay for this, buy that, buy this. But not in today's banking world, right? They're hyper vigilant, hyper cautious. And then I was and then some people were getting busted because what happened is they were trying to buy Bitcoin privately, and then the police are coming along and they set them up in a sting operation. What are you trying to do? What are you up to? Why are you trying to buy it? Are you trying to run some drug ring? So and
Wow.
that's what I recommend to a new. Yeah, there's a lot of cases of that back in 2016, 17, because we have to remember
Wow.
this kind of follows on the heels of Silk Road and the whole incident of that. So it's something that like with I sort of suggest for the person start small and then go through your typical KYC exchange till you
Yeah.
learn the ropes. When you learn the ropes, then you can start, buying for local Monero .co, or you could go through Biz Network. But get your feet wet, get used to the technology, get used to basically the most important thing for a person really is the government is not going to be the one that makes you lose your cryptocurrency. It will be you, because you will have not taken the proper software precautions, not
Yes.
use the right operational security, not secured your money correctly. And it is money. And if you don't know how to secure $100, you're really going to be doomed if you don't know how to secure several thousand, because it's just
Yeah.
as easy to steal a few hundred from a hacker. It's just as easy to get a few hundred stolen by a hacker as well as several thousand.
Yeah. And
So
I did one of my first shows.
Monero, and then figure out how to do it, how the software, because you got to keep your software updated. You got to keep the software for your hardware wallet updated. You have to know how to use it properly. You have to know how to properly update it. So it's kind of better to start with like a little 100 or 1,000, and then learn the technology, and then okay,
Yeah, no, that's very good. And so the first thing you should do is, before you do anything, I think if I had to start it all over, now I've done this since, but I should have started this from the beginning. Dedicate one computer for your crypto, and preferably one that you aren't using for your day to day.
Yeah, well, that might not be next to the internet.
Yeah. So one that's not connected to the internet, that you can just shut down after you do your crypto business. And then you want to put Kaspersky software on there. Keep it easy. That's really good software, and run it. And anytime that it flags that there's a demon in your computer, get rid of it. Just trust them. And then what you need to do is, I suggest, because once I did it, I'm like, God, it was that easy, is get Proton VPN. It's like $8 a month, to where then you have a VPN. And I was so dumb. I thought a VPN was another web browser. So I thought that, but it isn't. What it is it runs on your computer in the background. And what's happening is, when you connect to the internet, if you connect from your home, let somebody on the other end can tell exactly what your IP address is, where you are, who you are. They'll be able to track anything that you do. They'll know that if these smart bastards will know that if you all of a sudden they start doing searches for Exodus wallets or whatever, they'll figure out your IP address. So what the VPNs do is they'll make it appear, they'll bounce your VPN other places. So like if you do just a random one like I do because it's easy, then it'll search somewhere in the United States, and it'll appear like it's coming from Kansas instead of Florida. So that keeps that keeps you private. So you're the one driving the bus, but nobody knows it's you. So, but the most important thing, I think, is that Kaspersky software, so that these people don't plant their malware and their viruses on your computer. And these are patient Fs, if you know what I mean. And I did a show.
Yeah, exactly. And what is going to add to is that physical security of computers is important too, because keyloggers, they can be on a USB device, and if someone's smart enough, and the programmer told me that if you set your computer down, at a coffee shop, you walk away, then they can take that keylogger thing, start up your computer. Your computer does boot mode, right? So when it starts up in boot mode, trying to recognize instructions. But when it's in boot mode, booting up to the operating system, they can stick that USB in there, and then it starts reading information on the USB, and it can insert, depending upon the script register. forgot what it's called, but like JavaScript, it could be, could go on there and it will take in that little program, which is called a keylogger, and then that will keep track of all that information, all your keywords, passwords on that computer. So they can easily get that information, keywords and passwords very, very quickly. You know, and you could be off to the bathroom at the coffee shop or running up doing this. So physical security computer is just as important to knowing physically where it is, keeping, not only just keeping it discovered on the internet, but also not giving anyone the ability to access it, because a keylogger piece of software is easy to install, and that will track all those keywords and passwords, and then they can just and it's go on YouTube and you see how easily it's done. So that's also the other piece, right? You know, like you're saying, keep it disconnected from the internet computer that's got your wallets on there, but also making sure that's physically secure. That's like, you know, securely put away. Nobody else is touching it. Nobody else is using it.
And get it the hell off an online exchange. Get it onto a cold storage.
Yeah. Because what happens with online exchanges, I mean, we're going through some of the basics, but they just go out of business sometimes, or they get closed down by the local government for some reason. You know, well, they steal your money literally. So you got to be careful. So if you have crypto on it, like if you do a trade and like say switch Bitcoin from Monero on, let's say Binance.com somewhere like that, then you withdraw that as fast as possible and store it in your own like hardware wallet. You know, so you have it safely off the exchange in case the exchange gets hacked, or they go out of business, or you know they close down for some reason by like a local government.
Hey, let me ask you this. If I said I'm brand new, I have $1,000, I want to invest in 5 coins, what would you suggest I invest in? Knowing what you know about the market today, what would you suggest investing in, and what percentage of that $1,000 if I have 5 coins?
I would be, what's it, 5, so it's $200 each investment. I mean, in my opinion, I would say invest in the top ones that we know that are, you know, if we're talking, well, I'll put a caveat. If you're talking long term, 10 years from now, like
5 years.
I would say, in my opinion, would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin. Was it one Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Litecoin, and then the fifth one would be kind of hard to decide.
XRP.
For me, no. I got rid of XRP ages ago. I used to have it, but I only had a tiny bit. Not for me. I mean, for you, perfectly fine. I mean, I guess the fifth could be any choice.
Yeah.
No, I think the fifth probably the fifth would probably be Polkadot, because it's
I've heard a lot about that.
Polkadot is developing pretty well. It's really getting some momentum. I would say probably Polkadot, maybe Synthetics. Synthetics has got a little ways to go on the development of their network, but it's an interesting concept, like an interesting decentralized marketplace. Synthetics is planning to basically have derivatives or synthetics trading for gold, silver, or even stocks too. So they've got a little ways to go towards development, but but you know, you give it 5 years, it could be a well-developed network.
Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy is I certainly never. I mean, I'm part of a company that we look for early to mid-stage companies to buy or to invest in, and so these are companies that we usually stay away from anything that's product related, but we like service related companies. So Priceline.com was one of our companies that my boss was co-founder of Priceline.com. So we remember the post when the bubble popped. When the online bubble popped. Well, what emerged from all of those companies? There were so many companies that just went away, never to come back again. But there were some like Apple, Amazon, the usual suspects that are in the top 10, were Priceline being one of them, that came out of that, and what was given birth to by that trauma, right? That when everything just went to the moon, and you can kind of see how it is now. I guess it's just like everything seems to be like all of these projects are getting money, but they're not making money, and they're just, everything's based on vision and promise and hope. There's so much hopium out here, but lots of money flowing into this, and that all of these coins aren't going to go parabolic. There are going to be some that are going to go boop and come to zero, but there's going to be some projects out there that are going to end up being the next Apple, the next Amazon. And that's this ecosystem that this cryptocurrency ecosystem has given birth to amazing employment opportunities. Look, my daughter isn't hardwired this way, but if I had, God bless me with lots of estrogen. All I have are women in my life. But I would like to think that maybe if I had a son, it would have, been a chip off the old block, and maybe he would have been entrepreneurial spirited and would go out there and just try to figure out how to get involved with this ecosystem from an employment standpoint. Find some of these companies that are emerging and figure out how to get a job there. And that may sound more difficult but not really sometimes. I mean, if you have, it's just, they're making it up as they go, right? You don't go to college to be involved with these projects necessarily. I mean, I bet you a lot of the leadership from these coin companies, they probably were very, very adept at playing what is it, Warcraft or whatever the hell that is.
Warcraft.
Yeah, in their mom's basement, with Cheetos in their underwear, and really smart kids, right? That just know how to put together a computer and take apart a drone. And they understand this stuff, but that doesn't mean that we can't figure it out too. This is new to everybody. So I just really feel so confident right now that we are in the early stages of this still, that this is still ground floor, amazingly ground floor.
Well, what's happening is that most people, we're in it could be considered almost like stage 3 of the cryptocurrency revolution, because, and it's not even cryptocurrency, it would be, we've gone through the first stage, which is Bitcoin, basically the idea of a decentralized digital currency, right? Which is not controlled by central bank and so on. Then went to the next stage, which is Ethereum, which is the idea of the Ethereum virtual machine, which is a network of computers working together to create a market or create a connection, a network. Also working in synchronized together, right? And now we're coming to almost stage 3. We went to the ICO phase, right? The ICO phase was kind of funny. It was funny because there was just so many wacky ideas out there, but it was hilarious to me to read the white papers, because of Jimmy Song said it well. He's a Bitcoin developer, but he said that, buying into the ICOs back then was like buying into a restaurant that had no customers, no building, and no food. It was promising to have business, but it had no proof of concept, right? Now we're going to stage 3, 4, if you said 3 or 4. We are in a decentralized finance phase where actually now it's before the ICO phase, Bitcoin phase, nobody in the established the financial world was actually really worried. This is when they're actually getting scared, because like I said, Bitcoin and Ethereum, I mean, for the flaws and the points, is an open ledger, so you can see the transactions. So we don't have the environment of hedge funds, where hedge fund managers or mutual fund managers are getting oodles and oodles of money and commissions for almost doing nothing, right? Except for all this. So now we're having the stage of decentralized finance. It's not taken off yet, but it is going to wipe out basically this status quo, this ovoid network of a lot of financial markets, because it will bring a certain efficiency to the markets where it was kind of the vision of Veritaseum several years ago, but it's kind of happening now. Really, it's happening is you're wiping out those $6,000, $60,000 per year salaries or higher for hedge fund managers because you don't need them. You can
Right.
have a hedge fund basically through software. You're transforming a lot of things where you're wiping out a lot of the corruption, a lot of the commissions, a lot of the
Yeah.
system, and bring it down to an efficiency where you and I could actually, like, through synthetics is a very interesting concept. We can develop our own hedge fund. We don't really need them. We don't need to go through them. And, so you're seeing a lot of efficiency. You can get loans through Aave that don't, you secure it with crypto, but you don't need to go through a bank and submit your ID and all this. And you can do it from anywhere in the world. So we're seeing a lot of changes in the financial markets. This, I'd say almost like stage 4, of this development. It's still got a long way to go. It's very early stages, but if you look at it, it's revolutionary because through these network computers, a lot can be done with there are people doing flash loans and making hundreds of thousands of dollars in flash loans, and that's in one Ethereum block, which is like 11 seconds, because they know how to do the software, they know how to do the programming. So you're seeing things happen with 11 seconds, microseconds, that people really is revolutionary. And so it's very interesting to see. And like you said, it's very early stages because we're shifting over your traditional stock markets, your Wall Street, and everything is becoming crypto.
Yeah.
And that will never. We're never going to go back to. We sort of opened Pandora's box. We sort of opened a magic box. We're never going to go back to the old way of doing things again. We're changing centuries of financial markets and structure.
I'll tell you, yesterday I interviewed Dustin Plantholt. He was Bitcoin, or he is Bitcoin.com's. He's the boy.
I've met him in Acapulco.
Did you? Oh yeah, he's awesome.
He comes there with they've come. Yeah, because he and the team would go out to Acapulco. They usually go out every year. He doesn't always come every year, but I think it was way back when, yeah, because I was at him and had dinner with him and Roger Bear.
Yeah, great guy. I love his personality. He's just a great guy. It was a fun interview last night, and he's the one. We're talking to him, and just plant this seed for people out there that might be kind of at a loss, whether maybe it's even their own employment or their kids' futures. It just isn't the same, man. 2020 was like hitting Control Alt Delete on society. Everything is different. We all know that. But think about the way people used to learn a trade. And it was through apprenticeships. So imagine, if you will, an apprenticeship to where you could go learn from the best on the promise of, after you got that education, you'd put in your time with them to add value to that organization. So you're learning how to build that house, and a master carpenter is going to teach you how to build that house and teach you. It's apprenticeship. It's how it's always been done before the universities came into play, and that took over. And so this is kind of just the idea is with this ecosystem, there's a place and space to where I think companies with big projects are going to need arms and legs. They're going to need smart people, but you can't go recruit them from a college. That's the thing. You can't major in this shit. So we want to figure out how people can major in this shit, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think that's kind of most young people that are motivated are being self-taught already. You have online courses for learning the computer languages.
Yeah.
For learning the finance, learning the structure. A lot of young people, like younger people, like in the 20s, I'm saying young people, but like even teenagers, right in high school, are already learning this. Vitalik Buterin started when he was very young. So I mean, he started what he did. The founder of Ethereum, Ethereum.org, Ethereum Foundation. So those young people with talent are already learning how to do what they want to do. And it's the good thing that they have advantage of. It's the knowledge is not in the universities, exactly like you say. That doesn't mean they don't have to go to university, or it's not bad for them to go to university or college, because Vitalik did too, so it doesn't matter. But it's but if they want to learn something, if they want to get going on something, then they can do it now. There's no barrier to entry. They can go on YouTube, they can go on the different chat groups, Reddit,
Right.
GitHub, that's where those software code bases are. They can start learning now. So there's no barrier to entry. So they can start now developing the knowledge, developing a company, developing an app, getting involved. They can even be software contributors now. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a lot available for them if they want to start a business or be involved in this change. It will change a lot of things over time. Like a lot of things will be made more efficient and more transparent, through blockchain technology, through Bitcoin, through Ethereum, Monero, maybe XRP. We'll see. But it's kind of like, so there is that possibility they get involved now. There's no barrier to entry, there's no requirements, there's no licensing required, anything. Right? And sometimes that is like, it's true, I agree with Andreas jumping off, but sometimes that's where the best. That is why it's open source software, and Android's open source as well, because the contribution can come from anyone, anywhere. If we don't know where that creative person, or that person with that different viewpoint, whether they have a PhD in computer science or don't, might be a meaningful contributor. They could be a teenager, they could be a professor, or a computer scientist with several years experience. So these contributions are all valuable and all equal, right? And all useful in the community. And that's the idea of that development community. And it's just not ideas, but like marketing, promoting the message. Because you have to remember, the one interesting thing about Bitcoin is it has the marketing team.
Oh, absolutely. And all of
the community, it has spread throughout the world and connected people throughout the world, just its purpose, its design, and people's enthusiasm for the project.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Hey, I hope that I'm not rude, but we're coming up on almost 2 hours, and I can tell my wife just got home, and I know my daughter's just busting at the seams to get the well-deserved pat on the back. So I'm going to go be a good dad and give her the good, but hey man, let's stay in touch, and next Friday, have another chat.
All right. We will.
All right. Hey, everyone, thank you in the chat. And so Lutz and Dearth, I know about Pirate Chain, but I have on purpose, with intent, chosen to not go down that rabbit hole, because all of this has been so overwhelming as it is. So, but that is definitely something. I know that's another one that is you got to know about it. So yes. Yeah. So I hear you, and maybe we can get these folks on, and they can dumb it down so that all understand it. That always helps. All right, guys, have a good week.